I by no means am a Stardew Valley expert. I love playing the game, and it's one of the only ones of its genre that I can truly find myself getting lost in. I love making videos on franchises that I appreciate, and when I want to talk about them, it's mostly done through story or lore videos to show my appreciation. I wanted to make a Stardew Valley video, but didn't quite know how to go about doing that. There is a story and lore, but structuring it in the way that I usually would be a bit strange. Part of Stardew Valley is the fact that you're living in the valley. Time is progressing as you slowly go from the new farmer who moved in to someone who's fully integrated into the town. And giving that natural sense of time progression is something that I think is super important to get across. Fortunately, Stardew Valley has a particular genre of content on YouTube that I personally love watching, which conveniently lends itself perfectly to both having fun playing the game and naturally talking about it. And that's the 100 Day series. As the name would suggest, plenty of content creators play Stardew Valley for 100 in-game days and document their experience and what they went through. It's more so done under the context of a challenge, but it's such a great format that I would be remiss to not use it. And with the 1.6 update having released on March 19th, which added a whole bunch of new content, I was excited to play again and thought, what better time than now? I started the game by creating my character and naming my farm the Fantastic Farm. Look, I'm not good at naming things, okay? Why do you think my name's Eruption Fang? You think that's an incredibly clever name? No, I just like Tales of Symphonia. My favorite thing, I've chosen to go with the only correct answer, and that is MILFs. 'Cause man, I love farming. The new update also added some brand new cat and dog breeds, so I chose to go with the Black Cat. The game opens up with a cutscene as you're in a room with your dying grandfather. He presents you, as the player, a letter, but asks that you not open it. He says there'll come a day when you feel crushed by the burden of modern life and grow empty inside. It is then that he permits you to open the letter. Cut to some undetermined amount of time later, your grandfather has subsequently passed away while you as the character are currently working a corporate job in a cubicle for the Joja Corporation. Joja is the mega corporation in this game that covers just about every service possible that may be needed. From food to distribution, medical to warehousing, it seems to provide any item or service a person may need. As a result, the company is large and corporate, meaning there are tons of employees working dull and unfulfilling jobs. And I am one of them. As your grandfather foretold, sick of your current life, you open the letter he gave you, which turns out to be the deed to his land located in Stardew Valley. That's just the name of the region. Realistically, you move into Pelican Town. Upon arriving, you're greeted by Robin, the local carpenter, who takes us to our farmhouse, which is being prepped by Lewis, the town's mayor. Robin takes the time to insult our cottage by calling it crusty. That's alright. It was just the only thing my dying grandfather had in his possession that he thought could give me purpose in life, but please feel free to insult it. I woke up on day 1 and immediately grabbed my parsnip seeds. Right, the 1.6 update introduced a new farm type called the Meadowlands, which I'm obviously going to be playing on. It starts you off with a coop and 2 chickens, which is incredibly convenient, not having to build or buy either. My chickens were named Cheaper and Squeaks. As a trade-off for getting 2 chickens who will lay eggs, you don't start on day 1 with parsnip seeds. Instead, you're given 15 hay to feed them. Realistically, you don't even need the hay because they eat grass when they're outside, and my chickens are free-roaming chickens. The map even comes with new bluegrass that animals love, so the hay almost feels like you don't really need it. If I was smart, I probably should have sold it for extra gold, but I didn't think to do that at the time, so I used all my cash that I start out with to drop by Pierre's, the local general store, to buy 25 parsnip seeds, which I immediately planted and watered. I then spent the rest of the day collecting forageables to use for energy and chopping down trees around the farm. I immediately made a massive mistake by expending all of my energy till I was exhausted and passed out. This wasn't an accident. I intentionally do this a lot in the early game because usually it can actually be very convenient. You see, exhausting all of your energy is typically a bad thing. When you do this, you wake up the next morning with low energy, meaning you can do less tasks. And energy is incredibly important in the early game. The reason I purposefully passed out was because when you level up one of your 5 skills, which is farming, mining, foraging, fishing, or combat, even if you exhaust yourself, you'll still wake up the next next morning with full energy. So as long as you recognize that you've gained a level, you're free to fully pass out. You also lose money up to 1,000 gold, but when you have no money to lose, it's just an incredibly convenient early game strategy. But somehow, I managed to not even reach level 1 foraging. I don't think I've ever even actually done that, and it really bit me on the ass on day 2. I woke up completely embarrassed in my gameplay, but said, hey, fuck it. What am I gonna do? Reset all of my progress? Who knows how long that'll take? So I said hello to my chickens, watered my crops, and went down to the pier to meet Willie. He's the local angler who just came back from a fishing trip. He welcomes us to the town and gives us a bamboo pole as he hopes to keep the art of fishing alive. The rest of the day was spent fishing by the ocean. I kind of accidentally wound up falling into my Stardew habits. Considering this isn't my first time playing the game, I wasn't actually too concerned with going around town and meeting all of the villagers because I already know them. And I know too much about this game to dilly-dally in the beginning days. This is some of the most vital time that you cannot waste. So I'll slowly begin introducing the villagers as I meet them. I exhausted all of my energy again, but this time I actually leveled up, not once, but twice. Day 3 was a similar story. It was raining out, so I didn't have to water my crops, so I took a chest down to the ocean and spent the day fishing. I did catch a sea jelly, which was added this update. It restores 88 energy and gives +1 to fishing, so that'll be convenient in the coming days. I'm gonna be spending a lot of these early days fishing, so I not only have a source of energy, but it's also great early game income as well as you wait for your crops to grow. I wanted to buy a fiberglass rod, but was just short of the amount as Willie chose to leave his shop. So that's a real heartbreaker. You couldn't have just waited 10 more minutes? I went into town and managed to catch a catfish, which is pretty good for being this early on. Amongst the various things there are to complete in this game, one of them is to catch every single fish. Only some of them are available during certain seasons, different times of day, and even weather conditions. The catfish, for example, is only able to be caught in the rain. So I'll slowly be chipping away at this list each season. I also met Sebastian, who was out for a late night stroll. He's the son of Robin, the carpenter who disgraced my grandfather's legacy. She is married to Demetrius, a scientist who studies the local wildlife, and the two of them also have a daughter named Maru. Needless to say, Sebastian is not Demetrius's kid. Being the daughter of a scientist and carpenter, Maru grew up creating tons of gadgets, as she still does. Meanwhile, Sebastian is more of a loner. Just look at him. You know he was envisioning himself in a music video as he took this long walk through the rain without an umbrella, pretending his life was falling apart. I mean, realistically, his life may be actually falling apart. He lives in their family basement, unacknowledged by his stepdad, as Maru gets all of the attention and adoration. You really can't blame him for this late night stroll. Day 4, I made my way back down to the pier so I could actually get my fiberglass rod, and afterwards I took it and my chest up to the mountain lake where I fished for the rest of the day. I managed this time to catch the river jelly, which increases your energy by 30, another very convenient buff to have early game. I passed out yet again and managed to reach level 4 and 5 fishing. I of course chose the 25% more profit on fish because I was about to make a big purchase. On day 5, Marnie was at my front door and asked if I wanted to adopt a black cat, which obviously I said yes. I decided to name her Raven. Afterwards, it was a little bit of a scramble. My parsnips were ready to be harvested, so I immediately picked them all and sold all but the gold quality one to Pierre for some potatoes. But that's not all I wanted to do because all the fish I was catching was also meant to be sold as well after I reached level 5. So I had to go back to the mountain lake, pick up all my fish, bring them down to Willie's and sell them manually. With the money I made from them, I was able to purchase an additional 66 potatoes for a grand total of 84. You see, all of this was to prepare for the Spring Egg Festival that's coming up. During it, you can purchase strawberries, which are the most valuable crop you can plant in spring, and since potatoes only take 6 days to grow, they'll be ready just before the festival happens and I'll have lots of money to buy strawberries. It's also why fishing was so important because I need to use them as an energy source just to water all of my crops. I also introduced myself to Shane, Alex, and Elliot. Shane lives with his aunt Marnie, who runs the ranch, and goddaughter Jazz. While Sebastian may have more so been pretending his life was falling apart, Shane's life is. But we'll learn more about him as time goes on. Alex loves sports and is a bit cocky in his attitude. He lives with his grandparents, George and Evelyn. George is a bit of a grouch, while Evelyn is much more kind. Meanwhile, Elliot lives alone on the beach. He's a writer and much more poetic in his attitude towards life. I also bumped into Caroline. She's Pierre's wife and Abigail's mother, but I wish she could be mine. Either one, quite frankly. I even gave her a daffodil as a gift. I ended the day with level 1 farming and foraging. On day 6, I woke up to a letter from my mom in the mail. She's congratulating me on my new farm life and sent me cookies. Yay! Look, I really didn't want to pick the male character. I always play as the female character in Stardew Valley because what you receive in the mail is different depending on your gender. If you're a male character, you receive a letter from your mom who sends you cookies, but if you're a female character, you get a letter from your dad who sends you 500 gold. 500 isn't the most, but it's definitely better than cookies this early on if you ask me. So, thanks, Mom. I can't wait to put these in a chest and totally forget about them. Afterwards, I chose to try my luck in the mines. I met Marlin, who runs the Adventurers Guild. He warns us of the dangers the mines present, but alludes to some reward he's willing to give us if we prove ourselves. After giving us a rusty sword, he takes his leave and I went down into the mines. This is where you're introduced to the combat of the game. There's tons of enemies that run the risk of killing you and ending your day short. But the reason you're in the mines is to gather resources. Copper, iron, and gold are all used to upgrade your tools, but you gotta get deep into the mines to get the more valuable ones. I checked the luck earlier and it was neutral, so I wasn't expecting to get too far down. And I didn't. I made it to floor 5 before I decided to go back to fishing. I was expending too much energy while I was down there and I didn't think it was worth consuming all of my fish. Luck is a real stat in this game and it can vary from good to bad luck, and if you're down in the mines, your luck will determine how fast you find a ladder. I figured if I wanted to make it deep into the mines, I should at least wait for a good luck day. But I did reach level 6 fishing. On day 7, I was greeted by Clint, the town's blacksmith, at my front door. I had found some copper, and so he was kind enough to teach me how to craft a furnace. One of my potatoes had unfortunately been eaten by a crow, so I made a scarecrow to protect my crops. It was Lewis's birthday, so I gave him a daffodil. It did nothing. And it was another neutral luck day, and despite what I had just said, I decided to go back into the mines and made it to floor 17 before passing out at 2 a.m. On day 8, Lewis introduced me to an old dilapidated building. He says it's the community center and it's the pride and joy of Pelican Town. Or at least it was. In recent years, it's fallen into disarray for what he blames are kids playing video games indoors. Listen here, Lewis, we're gonna soon find out just about how much your priorities are out of order. Let's not pretend like you're the mayor of the year, but I'll bide my time for now. He tells us that Joja's been intending to buy the land so they can build a warehouse and the town needs the money, but Lewis has been holding off for some reason. After going inside and seeing just how in disarray the place is, I spot a peculiar creature. Lewis doesn't see anything and tries to gaslight me into thinking that it was just rats, but I know what I saw. After going back inside, I discover a mysterious plaque, but it's in a language that I cannot read, so I'll just leave it for now. I went around town introducing myself to a few new people, one of which was Haley. She was the popular girl in high school, and as such is a little bit self-centered. She lives with her sister Emily, who is a lot more artsy and eccentric. Of all the marriage candidates, I definitely want to marry Haley. I do so in every single one of my playthroughs, and you know what? Quite frankly, that's not gonna change today. She is the best bachelorette, and what's more attractive than someone who wants absolutely nothing to do with you when you first meet? Quite frankly, it works every single time. The rest of my day was spent in the mines. Level 1 combat. Day 9, I woke up to a letter from one M. Rasmodius Wizard. He was aware of my visit to the community center and says that he may have some information regarding the rat problem. So I made my way through the Cindersap forest and to his tower. Fittingly, as the wizard, he is an expert in the spiritual world and all things magic and magic adjacent. He tells me that the creature that I saw was called a Junimo. They're spirits of the forest, mysterious things but not harmful. After telling him about the plaque and how I couldn't read it, he politely deciphers it for us. Turns out the Junimos are happy to help us but ask for gifts in return. If we are truly one with the forest, then we shall see this through. This gives the wizard an idea and forces us to drink God knows what. Whatever it was worked, and we can now read the Junimo's language. So I made my way back to the community center, but on my way ran into Haley. She insulted my shoes and asked if they were plastic. Oh, Haley, you will be mine. Now that we're finally able to read the Junimo language, we've unlocked the Community Center bundles. This is the main focus of the game, I would say. You are to donate various items to the Community Center to hopefully restore it to its former glory. I donated the spring forageables to unlock the pantry and fish tank, and then donated the catfish, bream, largemouth bass, carp, and bullhead. The rest of my fish were sold as I spent the rest of the day chopping down trees on my farm and reaching level 2 foraging. Day 10 was finally a good luck day, so after watering my crops and saying hi to my chickens, I went to the mines. I quickly reached the dark part on floor 30 and decided I didn't want to go any further, at least without a pickaxe upgrade. So I took the copper that I had been gathering and used the funds that I just got from my fish to have Clint upgrade it. While I was in the area, I decided to pay a visit to the museum where I met Gunther. He's the current curator of the museum, but is quite upset as the previous curator made off with the entire collection. He noticed that since we've been spelunking in the mines that we've come across a few artifacts and minerals of interest. So he asks that we donate anything we find and in return he'll reward us. This is another one of the massive aspects of the game required for completion, so I'll slowly be chipping away at this. For now though, I donated a dwarf scroll along with some minerals. As a reward, I got 9 cauliflower seeds which I didn't have, so I immediately planted them. Outside the museum, I also ran into Penny, who spends her time tutoring Jazz and Vincent. Penny lives with her mom Pam in the trailer down by the river. It was also Vincent's birthday, so I gave him the only thing I had in my inventory, which was a leek. He didn't like it. Listen here, you little shit, you're so lucky Penny's standing right there, else I would put you 1 foot in the ground for each year you've been on this planet, okay? I just moved in, but you're on thin ice. Bye, Penny. You know who did appreciate my leek? Linus, the local homeless man. See, Vincent, why can't you be humble like him, who has nothing to his name and is forced to forage for his very survival? This is a man who knows how to appreciate the food source that I have stolen from him. It probably explains why later that night I saw him rummaging through some trash cans around town. George thinks that it's a bunch of raccoons and asks me to scare them off, but of course it's just Linus. He asks me if I think that there's something wrong with what he's doing, but I tell him no, and it's a shame for food to go to waste, which makes him pretty happy. We part ways and he starts rummaging through the saloon's trash when its proprietor Gus comes out. He offers him some food, saying no one in Pelican Town should go hungry. How nice. Anyway, I donated an egg and a mushroom to the community center before I returned to my farm and planted some carrot seeds I found in the mines. It's a new spring crop introduced in 1.6 that you can find from dig spots, or as I did, in the mines. I don't know what they do just yet, so we'll have to wait. Level 2 mining. On day 11, my potatoes were fully grown, so I picked them, planted a bunch of spring seeds, and made my way to Pierre's to sell them all. And I did indeed sell them all. After realizing this, I immediately reset the day because I need to save at least 1 for the community center. So I woke up on day 11 yet again, picked my potatoes, got a letter from Robin saying that she lost her axe, saved 5 potatoes, planted a bunch of spring seeds, but did not sell while I was at Pierre's for some reason. Instead, I bought a bean starter so I could get a green bean, which I need for the spring crops bundle. I already got a bunch of cauliflower from the museum, and I'll get the rest of my parsnips after the egg festival since they don't take that long to grow. I dropped my potatoes into the shipping bin and spent the rest of my day fishing at the lake. Thanks to the potatoes, I managed to reach level 2, 3, and 4 farming. On day 12, my copper pickaxe was ready, so I picked that up and went to the mines. Despite being a bad luck day, I quickly traversed the dark floors and made it to floor 40 where I could now begin farming iron, and I did for the rest of the day. I sold off any valuables that I had found because tomorrow was the egg festival and I wanted as much money as I could possibly have. I woke up on day 13 with another letter from my mom, but this time with 500 gold included. This is the second reward you're given from your parents for reaching 15,000 gold in profit. A nice little bonus since it was the day of the egg festival. My carrots had also finally grown, and a normal carrot gives you 75 energy while a silver carrot gives you 105. That's actually phenomenal. That is such a good crop to plant when you first start out if you can find some. While I waited for the festival to start, I decided to, for the first time in my Stardew Valley career, craft basic sprinklers. I know, what a fool I am. I figured why not? What could possibly go wrong? Well, a lot apparently. Don't judge me for the layout. I don't know the optimal layout for the sprinklers, so I winged it. And I can comfortably say that I will never be using basic sprinklers again, so any advice you have will be lost on me. Just don't bother, I may as well delete this from the game. Anyway, I went into the egg festival and got 135 strawberry seeds. Yeah, that feels pretty good. I made sure to go around and chat with everyone to get a little bit of friendship experience. Now is a great time to meet all of the villagers if you haven't prior. With all of these strawberries, I was feeling good to compete in the annual egg hunt. But first, made sure to get a commemorative picture. Anyway, this egg hunt isn't for fun. This is personal because Vincent is competing. You think you can just reject my thoughtful birthday gift? Well, I'm about to gift you something today, and that's an L. Perfectly free, courtesy of me. Let's do this. I collected a total of 10 eggs and I won. I took my straw hat as a prize, rubbed it in Vincent's face, and for the rest of you, I'll see you cats on the flip-flop later. Back on my farm, I had a lot of seeds to get down, and I spent the entire night getting them planted. I didn't manage to water them, but I'm not too worried because so long as I water them before the 16th, I'll still get 2 harvests out of them, so it's fine. Day 14, I checked the TV to learn a new recipe and got busy watering all of my crops. It was probably a big mistake to plant 30 spring seeds in conjunction with this, but whatever, it's too late. I made my way into the Cindersap Forest where, well, look who it is. Vincent playing in the sewage. What, finally figured out where you belong in this world? Nice to see you, Jazz. Hope Marnie's doing well. Look, is it petty that I'm beefing with a child who has no dad? Well, he left because of him, not me. Why do I gotta suffer the residual emotions? Okay, I'll stop beefing with Vincent. The two hear some strange noises coming from the sewer, but it's locked. Gunther has the key, but to unlock it, you have to have donated 60 items to the museum. Yeah, it's gonna be a little while before we unlock the sewers. The real reason I came here was to check the traveling cart. It's the first time I've done so far, but the reason is I'm on the lookout for a red cabbage seed. Yes, the dreaded red cabbage is the killer of many uninformed in their Stardew Valley playthroughs. It's a crop needed to complete one of the bundles for the community center, but it only becomes available to purchase during summer of year 2. If you're not paying attention, you might accidentally have to go 2 years before being able to complete the community center, which is kind of unfortunate. That is, unless you're lucky enough to purchase one from the traveling cart. It appears every Friday and Sunday, so it's not like you can come here every day. But the problem therein lies that the traveling cart sells everything, and it's a random assortment each time. So you just have to hope that a red cabbage is available when the cart comes strolling through. There is an option when you create your farm that you can check, which ensures you'll be able to complete the community center in year 1, meaning that they will put a red cabbage in the traveling cart at some point in year 1. But if you don't check that option, well, you're kinda just left to RNG hoping it shows up. I did not check this option because I forgot it was a thing. Anyway, let's hope I didn't miss it. It was also Haley's birthday, and I got a pretty flower for a pretty girl. She liked it a lot. I'm winning her over. Anyway, I donated another large egg, courtesy of my chicken, and gave Caroline a flower as well. I mean, I did say that my favorite thing was MILFs, and this time I'm not talking about the farming. I also gave Demetrius a flower. He does not get the MILF treatment. I went into the mines to farm a little bit of iron before giving up and fishing until I was exhausted. Level 7. Day 15 was the start of salmonberry season. It runs for 3 days where salmonberries grow on bushes. They're what feel like a near infinite source of energy if you make full use of the 3 days, because you can collect quite a bit. Looking back at the footage, I didn't really do anything this day. I did take my straw hat and put it on Raven in honor of my favorite pirate crew. You're now able to put hats on your pets thanks to the update. It was a great addition. On day 16, I went into town and checked the calendar and was a bit confused. I noticed that it looked like something was supposed to be taking place, but I didn't know what it was, and it seemed like I was missing it. I thought maybe I was just being stupid, but no. It turns out what I was looking at was the new Desert Festival that was added in the 1.6 update. It's a 3-day event that you can participate in so long as you have unlocked the desert, which I have not. Maybe in the next 100 days. I went down to the beach and gave Elliot a flower, which he was not a fan of, and used 300 pieces of wood to restore the bridge. It's not the most useful part of the map to unlock, but it's convenient because there's a few forageable items that spawn pretty regularly here, which you can sell or craft into a few things. So it's just nice to have. I gave Evelyn a flower and she was appreciative of it. Finally was a trip to Pierre's to purchase some parsnip seeds so I could hopefully start on the quality crops bundle, but was interrupted when Morris strolled up. Yeah, I haven't mentioned him. This is the quote-unquote villain of the game. He runs the Joja Mart that's in town. The one that I never go into even to get footage. My bad, old habits die hard, but there it is. He flaunts that he has some 50% coupons, which drags a bunch of customers out of Pierre's and gloats in front of his face. I'ma be real, Morris isn't that bad. Morris isn't as bad as the game paints him out to be. For one, he doesn't own Joja. He's not Mr. Joja. He's just the manager who runs the store in town. Is he a dick? A little bit, yeah. But so is Pierre. Secondly, market competition is a healthy thing. If he's able to drop Joja's prices down 50% and the locals can afford it, that's a win that Pierre should strive to match. I get it, it's the idea of a corporation stomping out a smaller family-run business, but Pierre sucks, I just gotta be real. Stardew fans know, Pierre is not as good as he seems, and Lewis is as shady as it can be. Maybe I should've gone the Joja route. But you know, we all know that the community center is the canon story. Anyway, after that cutscene, I interrupted the ladies' aerobics class to give Caroline a flower and say hi to everyone. Caroline's a little embarrassed having me see her all red and sweaty. God, I wish I could romance her. I should have installed a mod. Anyway, I bought 35 parsnip seeds. That should be enough to get at least 5 quality ones. Day 17 was a rainy day, so I decided to catch some fish I was missing for the season. I caught a shad in the Cindersap forest and an eel outside of Willie's shop. I then donated them along with a few ocean fish to the community center. On day 18, a bunch of my spring forageables were ready, so I picked them up and decided to spend my day in the mines since it was a good luck day. Unfortunately, floors 53 and 54 were both overrun with monsters, so it was unsuccessful. But I did reach level 2 combat. On day 19, Demetrius was at my front door telling me he made a breakthrough on his research of the local environment. He asks me if I would like to set up either fruit bats or mushrooms in the cave that's on my farm, and I, regrettably, chose mushrooms. I typically go for the fruit bats because the way I play Stardew Valley, fruit is the harder one of the crops for me to get because you need to plant fruit trees, which can cost a lot of money and take a lot of time to grow. I typically wait until I have the greenhouse to plant them in, but it takes a while, unless you have the fruit bats cave. I only chose mushrooms this time because it comes with a new item in 1.6, the dehydrator. It's the sole reason I chose mushrooms, just to experience it, and I wish that I didn't because it would have saved me a lot of stress later down the line. I did wind up getting a letter from Jody in the mail asking for a cauliflower. I haven't introduced her yet, but she's the mother of Vincent and Sam. She spends most of her time tending to the house and raising the children while her husband's away in war. As for Sam, he's a musician and one of Sebastian's only friends. He's a pretty upbeat and chill guy, really. Anyway, I may give Jody a cauliflower once one of mine fully grows. Besides that, I realized that I hadn't caught all of the spring fish yet, so I made my way down to the river and caught myself a sunfish, which I immediately donated. On the morning of day 20, I decided to make a new chest where I could organize and store all of my spring crops and items. I fittingly colored it green. My parsnips were also grown, and of the 35 that I had planted, only 4 were gold quality. But that's alright, because I still had the one that I got from my first batch in the beginning of spring. For now though, I just stored them all away. It was a good luck day, so I went back to the mines and managed to make it to floor 65 before calling it a day and going down to the pier to catch the last fish I needed for spring, the halibut. I say it's the last fish, but realistically, I still need to catch the legend. It's one of the legendary fish that are harder to catch than all of the rest. The legend can only be caught in the rain, but also requires level 10 fishing, which I am not. Now, you can work around this by using food, which gives you a fishing buff to bump you up to level 10 temporarily, but truthfully, I've never done that. I don't know where you get the food, if Willie sells it, or you just have to get lucky from the traveling cart. I don't know, but quite frankly, it wasn't in the cards for me this year. I wasn't too concerned with having to complete the fishing compendium within these 100 days. I'm sure it's possible, I'm sure many people do it, Not me. I did end the day with level 5 farming though, and I chose the tiller profession, which makes crops worth 10% more. Day 21, I went down to the traveling cart to see if they had anything of worth, which, of course, they did not. I went into town to check the calendar and saw that I had missed both Pam and Shane's birthday. Sorry guys, I would have bought you both a round of beer, but it's actually probably better for your lives that I forgot. But what was happening was the brand new bookseller was in town. I didn't know what it meant, but I did see this incredibly convenient flyer next to Pierre's which pointed me in the direction. As the name would imply, the bookseller sells a bunch of books. Thank you, they do call me a scholar. These books can do a variety of different things, give XP to any one of your 5 skills, or even give you abilities like running faster, movement speed on a horse, walking through crops faster, just a whole lot of things that seem incredibly convenient to have. Too bad I can't afford any of them. I'll come back later, when I'm rich. I spent the rest of the day in the mines. I managed to get down from level 65 down to 82 before I passed out. I did reach level 5 mining and chose the miner profession, which gives +1 ore per vein. Day 22 of spring was a beautiful sight as my strawberries and cauliflower had fully grown. I now had all the necessary items for the spring crops bundle, so I donated them all along with the 5 quality parsnips, which unlocked the boiler room. I then went down to Pierre's and sold all of my strawberries and got 22,000 gold. This allowed me to splurge a little bit and I got my first backpack upgrade. It's 2,000 gold. I'm gonna be real with you, I thought it was a lot more. I thought it was like 10,000. I would have bought this a long time ago if I remembered it was this cheap. I gave my pickaxe to Clint so he could upgrade it to steel, and with so many options available, I was now overstimulated and ran around town doing nothing. I talked to a few people and gave gifts before returning back to my farm to check my mushroom cave. I wanted to try out the dehydrator, but couldn't quite figure out how it worked yet, so I gave up. Day 23 is where I made probably my single greatest mistake this entire playthrough. You see, with all of these crops and no watering can upgrade, I had grown a little bit tired of having to manually water each and every one of these crops every single day. The strawberries I knew were a multi-harvestable crop like the blueberries or cranberries, meaning they would continuously produce fruit after fully maturing. But you see, it had been a little while since I played Stardew Valley, and I forgot that despite this, you still have to water them. Traditionally at this point, I would work towards making quality sprinklers. After the first harvest of strawberries, I would usually get level 6 farming by now, which I did, and I recently got to level 80 in the mines, giving me access to gold. Usually I would have no sprinklers by now and it would be a big priority for me to get them. But because I made basic sprinklers for the first time, the to-do list in my brain got all out of whack and I just went about my day because sprinklers had already been checked off on the mental mind. But little old stupid me wouldn't realize this just yet. So with my pickaxe at Clint's and my strawberries clearly self-sustaining, I decided to complete a few quests. I brought Jody a cauliflower for the recipe she was making and found Robin's axe that she had lost. A few donations to the crab pots from foraging were made as well as to the construction bundle. Day 24 was the day of the flower dance. I took a moment to appreciate the new waterfall before stopping by the shop to buy my first rare crow. There's 8 in total, and I'll be sure to collect them all when I can. I made sure to talk to all of the villagers while I was here. I saw Marlin trying to rizz up Marnie. Come on man, you got this. I figured I had the best chance of asking Haley to be my dance partner since I have the most hearts with her, but I only gave her like the 2 flowers, one of which was on her birthday, but I wasn't giving her gifts consistently, so I got rejected. So I was forced to stand there all by myself and pretend that I was alright. The next morning, my steel pickaxe was ready and I traded it in for a copper axe. I decided to take my new shiny tool for a spin and venture into the mines. From floor 80, I almost managed to reach floor 100, but just ran out of energy on floor 98 before I could make it. Not all hope was lost, however. After replenishing my energy from some reserves I had in a chest, I went down to some lower floors to farm a little bit of copper before the day was up, and wound up getting an ancient seed. I swear, 100% of the time I get an ancient seed, it is from a bug. It says that they only have a 0.5% chance to drop one, but I swear, it feels like 5%. If you've never gotten an ancient seed, just kill some bugs for a little bit. I promise you'll get one. For those of you who don't know, ancient seeds are the most valuable crop in the game. Ideally, if you want to make the most amount of money as possible, you'll have a field of these, but they take 28 days to grow. So getting an ancient fruit operation up and running takes a bit of time. So the sooner you can get one started, the better, and getting one in spring is pretty nice. Overnight, I reached level 7 farming from just tending to my chickens, level 3 combat, and level 6 mining. Day 26 was the day I realized my mistake by not watering my strawberries. I couldn't even be upset that there was a crow on my field parading around. I don't know what he ate, because clearly it wasn't a strawberry. Raven, stop lounging around and deal with your brother. Of the 135 strawberries that I planted, I only got back 37. That is truly devastating. Money has such a snowball effect in this game. The more money you have, the more crops you can buy, which in turn earns you more money, and it's just exponential from there. I already got my first harvest from them, which pays back itself, so it's not like I'm losing money, but I could have had so much more going into summer. What a disaster. I went to the museum and traded in my ancient seed and planted it on my farm with its own little dedicated sprinkler. It was Pierre's birthday, so I gave him a flower. Say hi to Caroline for me. I used a bomb to clear out the wall in the mines and got to meet a dwarf. But he speaks a language I cannot understand, so I'll have to work on finding the dwarf scrolls. I wallowed in my strawberry depression by mining the day away. I reached floor 100 and got my very first star drop. My mind was filled with thoughts of MILFs. You know, that does make me feel a little bit better. Things ended on floor 105 as I reached level 4 combat. The 27th was Emily's birthday, so I got an amethyst from my chest to give her, but when I walked in, she and Haley were arguing about cleaning. I went with the option that seemed the least confrontational, but Haley didn't seem too happy about it. I gave Emily her birthday gift and picked up my copper axe from Clint's, donated a few items to the boiler room, and just barely managed to reach floor 115 in the mines. On the final day of spring, I woke up to a food recipe from Emily in the mail. If we're gonna reach perfection, we're gonna need all of these, and that means befriending all of the villagers and raising their hearts. I already intended on doing that, but it's not exactly a priority for me at the moment. There's lots of stuff to do, and I can only handle so many tasks at once in this game, so relationship building is sort of a low priority. I checked the traveling cart, which I keep forgetting about, and saw that they had nothing. I was tired of walking around everywhere, so I wanted to unlock the mine carts. I was only missing an earth crystal, and observational skills were not paying attention either, because I thought I needed all of the items to complete the adventurer's bundle, when in fact I only need 2. You'd think I'd remember that by now. I scoured the lower floor, killing bugs and slimes trying to find an earth crystal, but wound up finding a monster compendium book. It gives a small chance for monsters to drop double the loot. It's my first permanent power. While I was down here, I completed the Monster Slayer goal of slaying 80 bugs and eventually did find the Earth Crystal. Before I left, I used my resources to craft 20 quality sprinklers for the next season, and then donated all the items to finish the boiler room. I ended things off by going back to my farm to prepare the groundwork for next season, and finally took a much needed rest in preparation for summer. Day 29 marked the first official day of a new season. The mine carts were fixed and there were a ton of new crops I needed to begin preparing my summer farm for. Of course, I went to Pierre's to get all of the necessary crops needed for the summer crops bundle, along with a few extra melons since I need 5 gold quality ones. I spent the rest of the day planting everything and even had to begin clearing out space elsewhere on the farm since the main patch was a bit too overcrowded. I probably made a bit of a mistake by spending all of the money I did since I had 52 leftover blueberry seeds. Listen, budgeting, figuring out precise math, that's not exactly my wheelhouse. Buy and deal with the consequences later, that's more my speed. I'm joking, of course. That was actually incredibly frustrating looking back at the footage. At this point, I considered manually watering a thing of the past, so if I didn't have sprinklers, nothing was getting planted. but at least I still had 138 blueberries, so that's pretty good. Day 30, I stopped by Robin's to see what I could get done, but realized I had no money to do anything. Again, budgeting probably would have been nice. So, because it was a new season, I fished instead. I caught a sturgeon and a rainbow trout, but when I went down to the pier, Willie stopped me. He asked if I was catching a lot of fish, to which I said that I was, which made him pretty happy. But something was bothering him, so I inquired as to what was wrong. Turns out his fish aren't selling that well. He's working double the hours and has no time for his own pet projects. He alludes to something he's got in the back room, but says that maybe one day I'll see what he means. Back to fishing, I caught a tuna, pufferfish, and red mullet and donated them all to the community center, finishing off the lakefish bundle. In tandem, I also finished off the summer forageables. There was an earthquake during the night which unlocked the railroad, but I never go there anyway, so whoops. On day 31, I woke up to a letter from Mayor Lewis letting me know he lost his lucky purple shorts and wanted me to find them and return them to him discreetly. Yeah, thanks, Mayor. I'll keep an eye out for your pants. I started things off by catching a pike before going down to Robin's to build a silo since it costs hardly anything money-wise. All of the tall grass on my farm is beginning to annoy me, and I don't usually cut it down until I at least have a method of collecting the hay. No resources go to waste here, except when they so clearly do. I finally reached floor 120 of the mines and got a mysterious skull-shaped key. To round out the day, I decided to try my hand at catching the crimson fish, the legendary fish of summer. Unlike the legend from spring, you only need to be level 5 to catch this one. I was so close, but messed things up and it got away. I only walked away with the super cucumber that night. Day 32 started out with a lot of tree stump clearing on my farm because it was a bit ugly. I stopped by Pierre's, and this is where another blunder seems to have occurred. You see, I thought that I needed all of the fruit trees to complete the community center. So it doesn't matter which order I buy them because I'm gonna need them all eventually. But that is wrong. The fruits that you need are apples and a pomegranate. Those are the only ones you have to get. I forgot that. So I walked out of the store with an apricot sapling, cause it was the cheapest. But hey, I planted it right on this little square patch of land next to my crops, so that'll be cute. I stopped by floor 60 of the mines to catch an ice pip, and by the end of the day reached level 5 foraging, but wasn't sure which profession I wanted to go with. I chose Gatherer, which gives a chance for a double harvest of foraged items, but there wasn't much thought behind it. I'll probably go back and change it at some point. I also got Combat level 5 and went with Fighter, which gives all attacks a 10% increase in damage. Day 33, my silo was finally built, so I got to work scything down a lot of the grass and realized that there's a lot more farm space for me to plant crops than I initially thought. So I laid down 7 extra quality sprinklers and planted 30 summer seeds. What about the blueberry seeds, me? Oh, they're in a chest and you forgot about them, so they may as well not exist? Ah, great, wonderful, thanks, good to know. The traveling cart didn't have anything. It had an apple sapling. Wouldn't that be nice to purchase? Pierre requested a quartz to rub on his sore head. I don't know what that's gonna do, but I brought him one anyway. By the end of the day, everyone seemed to be gathered in the saloon, so I started handing out gifts. Summer is a very good time to hand out sweet peas to everyone, since it's an easily forageable item to obtain, and most people seem to like it. My hot peppers were ready the next morning, but I didn't exactly have any intention with them, so I just put them away. They weren't gonna make me the most money, so I'll just hold on to them. I went to my mushroom cave, still have not figured out the dehydrator, and went back to chopping down all my trees. While doing so, I did find a letter from my grandpa telling me to wait for his return at the dawn of the 3rd year. That's a ways away, isn't it? And also, like, aren't you supposed to be dead? I ain't exactly gonna be waiting here with bated breath. And if you're alive, you gotta start helping cut down some trees because there's a lot of chores to be done and I don't have infinite energy. Anyway, I got to work planting a whole bunch of oak trees as I'm gonna need their resin, preferably sooner rather than later. This is the first real aesthetic decision I'm having to make with my farm. I kinda just placed them on a path towards the greenhouse, but we'll see how it pans out. The day ended with a trip to the mines to catch a ghost fish. Day 35 is when a big decision was made. You see, I had always played Stardew Valley completely vanilla, mainly because I started on Switch, played it on Xbox, and then on Steam Deck. This is the first time that I've played the game on an actual PC, and it's definitely a lot more convenient, especially when it comes to manually watering crops. I didn't want to install any mods that would break the game or would make it as if I was cheating, but one mod that I've always had my eye on since playing on console was the UI Info Suite, which just adds a whole lot of useful information. It's the only mod that I have, but it allows me to see the day's luck, see when the traveling cart is in town, if there's a cooking show where I can learn a recipe, and when it's people's birthday. It does a ton of other things as well, lets you know what animals have been pet, shows the XP for your skills, shows you the range of things like sprinklers and scarecrows. But when it came to mine, it was a little bit bugged, so it wasn't working right. But that's fine, because all I need this mod for is what shows up right here. Everything else is just extra. So from this point moving on, I have this mod installed. Speaking of the traveling cart, no red cabbage, but I did decide to pick up a duck egg, cactus fruit, and a crayfish, all of which I donated to the community center. Day 36, I farmed a little bit of gold and sold off some bars as well so I could afford upgrading to a gold pickaxe. Thanks to the info mod, I saw that it was Gus's birthday, so I gave him a flower. I donated a poppy and 2 mushrooms to the community center, and bought a sunflower seed from Pierre because I'm gonna need to donate one of those as well. I spent the rest of the day fishing, but did not catch the crimson fish. But a massive breakthrough occurred on this day. I finally figured out how the dehydrator works. You need 5 of an item before you can put it in. Unfortunately, what I did not figure out is that it doesn't have to be mushrooms. Any crop can be placed in here so long as you have 5. So yet again, it's gonna be a little while before I figure that out. On day 37, I crafted a trap bobber because I realized I was not skilled enough to catch the legendary fish without some help. The trap bobber makes it so fish escape slower when they're not being reeled in. I then realized that I was still using the fiberglass rod, so I could not actually use a bobber until I got an iridium one, which is 7,500 gold. So, whoops. Being a rainy day, I made sure to catch the red snapper, and while I was out got the dorado, a cave jelly, which I'm not sure if that counts as a fish on the list, but I caught one for the first time. It gives a +1 to luck. All 3 jellies seem to have been pretty great additions to the game, to be honest. Unfortunately, I was not able to get the lava eel. Didn't even hook it once. Day 38, I got a letter from Mayor Lewis letting me know the luau is happening tomorrow and that I should make sure to bring something good for the communal potluck. This is a great event to earn a lot of friendship with everyone, so I better make sure to bring something that's gonna give me the best response possible. But that's tomorrow. Today was more of a chore day. I donated some more items to the community center, a couple fish, finished off the exotic foraging bundle, realized I was missing the tilapia so went down to the pier and caught that real quick, picked up my golden axe, donated some more minerals to the museum, gave Maru a cauliflower for her birthday, and ended things with chopping down some trees and reaching level 6 foraging. But summer 11th was the day of the luau. The governor is in town and we are out to impress him as a community. After going around and chatting with everyone, I chose to contribute a gold quality sturgeon I had caught at the beginning of the season. This will elicit the best possible reaction. I was intending to save it to put it into a pond when I got one built, but it's summer so it was pretty easy to catch, so I wasn't too worried about losing it. The governor was blown away and the townspeople dug in. I even got an achievement, an unforgettable soup. The luau is a pretty laid-back event. There's not much to do or buy, just a lot of friendship to potentially be gained. The 12th was yet again another bust at the traveling cart. I gave Clint my axe to turn into steel, but saw that tomorrow was going to be a thunderstorm, so I needed to prep for that. Thunderstorms are a lot more common during summer, and with a lightning rod, you'll be able to get batteries, which can in turn be used for iridium sprinklers, the best sprinklers you can have. They're both more so endgame items, but it never hurts to be prepared. Fortunately, I just unlocked the lightning rods 2 days ago, so I spent my time in the mines farming resources to craft them. When it was all said and done, I was able to make 9. On day 41, my melons were ready, but I only got 3 gold quality ones, so I made sure to buy even more from Pierre. While I was in town, I made sure to give Alex a birthday gift. Evelyn wanted a fire quartz to put on her shelf, so I made sure to do that, and get myself my very first prize ticket. Yeah, 41 days into the series and I've finally done a request that's given me this brand new reward. I'm severely lacking on doing these quests. There's an achievement to do 40 of them, and at the pace I'm doing them now, that's not gonna happen. I went to Mayor Lewis's house to exchange my prize ticket, where he told me all about the new prize machine he was conveniently installing. My first reward was 12 summer squash seeds, a brand new summer crop just like the carrot was in spring. I knew this prize machine was a new addition to the update, but looking at the prizes, I didn't know just how good some of these were. I definitely regretted not taking full advantage of getting these tickets earlier on. I made a few more sprinklers and planted my new seeds along with some more melons. On day 42, I woke up to a letter from Pam saying she's got a dry throat and she's thirsty for some pale ale. Pale ale you get by putting hops inside of a keg. I currently have the hops and I'm working on the keg situation. Don't worry, Pam, I'll keep enabling you in different ways. More importantly, my blueberries had finally grown. I checked the traveling cart to see that they were selling absolutely nothing again, then went to Pierre's to sell everything. I took all of my necessary crops to complete the summer crops bundle and donated a sunflower to the dye bundle. I was pretty behind on the artisan bundle, but realized I needed a barn to complete the animal bundle. So I stopped by Robin's, only to run into Demetrius and Maru testing soil samples. When Maru steps outside, Demetrius pulls me aside and told me he wouldn't want anything getting in the way of his daughter's future, if you know what I mean. Well, I really wasn't too concerned with romancing Maru, but now I may have to do it just to spite you. If anything, you should be worried about me romancing Robin. Let's not forget my favorite thing now. Speaking of Robin's woodworking skills, I got her to start construction on a barn. I picked up my steel axe from Clint's and chose to splurge a little bit with all my cash and get the final backpack upgrade and purchased the iridium rod. I put it to the test by trying yet again to get the crimson fish, but was once again unsuccessful. I really should put on that trap bobber I had crafted. But what am I gonna do? It's in a chest, so it may as well not exist. The next morning, I woke up to Pierre's famous blueberry tart recipe, since we are such good friends, so long as I keep spending my money at his place, like a true friend. A second thunderstorm yesterday meant even more batteries for me to hoard, but it also reminded me to plant a wheat field. Wheat is a very simple crop that takes only 4 days to grow, but it can be planted in both summer and fall. So because of it, I just like to plant a whole bunch of it in a field and just let it grow for me. The chances of you getting 4 instances of rain across both summer and fall has to be like 100%. So I'll just let this passively grow. Caroline showed me her sunroom where she likes to grow tea and even gave me some.
Oh my god, what was in that tea? What is that? A little alien dancing marshmallow man?
Oh, I didn't know Caroline liked to get down like that. I guess you gotta have some sort of getaway when you're married to Pierre. Anyway, I spent the rest of the day again trying to catch the crimson fish, but this time I did it. Day 16 of summer, I woke up to 2 letters from my girl Caroline. She taught me how to make parsnip soup as well as how to grow my own tea. Tea saplings will be a pretty nice source of extra income, won't they? Yeah, so amongst the patch notes, I did not see that they nerfed tea saplings by 50%. Part of the reason I had been planting so many forageable seeds is because tea saplings used to be one of, if not the best source of income for early and mid-game gold. And after my fiasco with the strawberries, I was feeling a little bit behind on cash and thought that this would be a good way to reimburse my losses. And yet again, I fell face first into another mistake. I'm just kidding. Tea saplings are actually a lot more fairly priced and aren't nearly as game-breaking as they used to be. So I can't complain too much. I still made 6,000 gold profit from 24 tea saplings. Some of my oak trees started becoming mature, so I put tappers on them and created 1 keg. Hops will slowly be going into this. I was in the mines for a little bit that night as well, where I got another ancient seed. I'm telling you, just kill some bugs. So I planted it next to my other one. Day 45, my barn was finished, so I waited outside Marnie's and bought a cow named Fudders. I don't like naming my animals, I'm not good at naming things. Vincent judged me for digging through his trash. I'm sorry, I thought I was talking to you. I used my newly acquired funds to request a big coop upgrade and went up to the railroad in Spa for the first time. I cleared it out and planted a bunch of tree seeds because I never really come here, so I use it as a place to grow a bunch of trees and farm wood. Speaking of accessing areas for the first time, I used my new axe to go into the secret woods. This is the only place to reliably get hardwood, and I'm gonna need it sooner or later if I want to craft anything. But it was getting pretty late, and I realized it was Sam's birthday and I hadn't gotten him anything. So I ran over to Gus's to buy him a pizza, which he loves, but by the time I got to his house, it was too late. Great, now I have this whole pizza to myself.
I guess someone's just gonna have to eat it.
Day 46 was probably the single most confusing day I've had in Stardew Valley in a long time. A green rain had descended upon the valley and it seemed like the apocalypse was nigh. But first, I had to pick my blueberries. Needless to say, the green rain was another addition to the 1.6 update. Mother Nature was spreading her fluids across the land. Jesus Christ, why'd I write that?
I mean, I'm not against it.
She's a mother after all. Unfortunately, that statement is a lot more accurate than you would imagine. You see, this rain is technically alive. Many of my oak trees, which were just babies a day ago, were now fully grown and going wild. Hordes of weeds were now everywhere, including these giant ones. And it wasn't exclusive to my place either. Weeds were growing around town, trees were now where they weren't supposed to be. I even encountered a new species of tree which just gave me fiddlehead ferns. Everyone was taking shelter inside. Most were gathered inside of Gus's saloon, except Demetrius, who was outside studying the phenomena. Pierre's only upset because it's harming his business. You're telling me siding with him is better than Joja? Even Clint tells me that it's situations like this where a person's true character is put to the test. Pierre's true colors are shown and all he cares about is money. I gave Pam her pale ale because what better time than a potential apocalypse to get drunk? But this was my entire day, talking to everyone around town and seeing what's up. Unfortunately, I didn't even think to check with the wizard to see what he had to say about all of this, because he's like the one person who would have had insight. I guess I'll just have to do it next time. Overnight, I reached level 9 farming and unlocked the Iridium sprinklers. Now I just need to get Iridium. On day 47, I got the monoculture achievement for shipping 300 of a single crop. My mom sent me a pink cake in the mail congratulating me for earning over 120,000 total in gold. And as a plus, or a negative, I don't know, depending on who you are, my farm was back to normal following the green rain. I put more tappers on my newly matured oak trees and checked the traveling cart to see that they were selling nothing. I gave Demetrius my last remaining strawberry for his birthday.
You better be thankful for that. I went through a lot of trauma getting that.
It was a big day for the community center. I donated an aquamarine, fiddlehead fern, and some maple syrup along with the crystal fruit and winter root that I got from the mines. I finished the crab pot bundle and ocean fish bundle. I bought a duck for my now upgraded coop and randomized the name until I settled on Shala. I then requested a big barn upgrade from Robin and used the rest of my funds to make the second biggest mistake this 100 days, and that was buying the vault. Unlike with the strawberries, I don't know what was going through my head here, especially since I couldn't even buy all of them and unlock the bus. So, what am I even spending my money on? I don't have the disposable income. What am I doing? I planted some maple and pine trees around my farms, but I don't know if I like where they are aesthetically. We'll come back to this. On day 48, I woke up to the notification that the annual Trout Derby had begun, a brand new 2-day mini festival that occurs in the Cindersap Forest where you catch rainbow fish in exchange for prizes. Yep. I forgot about it. Just as quick as that notification popped up, it went in one ear and out the other. Listen, it's not like the other festivals where the town shuts down and it's almost impossible to miss it. It's just like there and open. I was busy planting a bunch of trees, cracking open geodes and donating them to the museum, farming copper in the mines. But hey, maybe tomorrow will go better. It's a Sunday and I gotta check the traveling cart, so I'll be down there. Oh, would you look at that? The traveling cart has 5 apples for sale. Wouldn't that be nice to buy and donate to the community center?
Knowledge of the future truly is pain.
I bought an orange though. I chopped some hardwood, went to Marnie's to buy a goat and realized I couldn't afford one, sold some stuff to Pierre, bought a goat, named her Beb, exited, and went back to my farm, all while not seeing a hint of the Trout Derby taking place. I play this game on maximum zoomed out, and I did not see a thing. I know that it's further down, but I didn't see any decorative flooring, a sign, no fish indicator in the corner of my screen. I didn't even wake up this day to a notification that it was still taking place. For someone like myself who will still forget things are happening, even when I've installed a mod which plasters it on my screen at all times, I'm gonna need a little bit more flashiness to let me know that something's going down. Quite frankly, I'm amazed that I didn't even miss the Green Rain event. I wouldn't have been surprised if I just went about my day and didn't acknowledge it whatsoever. That's how much there is to do in this game and how easily I get tunnel visioned. Anyway, with no event clearly taking place this day, I mined gold and died for the first time and lost all of it, so I mined some more. Day 50 and we are officially halfway through the 100 days. It was the dwarf's birthday, so I gave him an aquamarine. It looked like he loved it, but I didn't get any friendship experience with him. I don't know if I gotta unlock the dwarf scroll so I can understand him before I start getting hearts, but getting no friendship experience with a loved gift on a birthday is wild. I took a look at the calendar and realized that I had missed the Trout Derby. Well, I'm sure that was not my fault. I sold all of my blueberries to Pierre and purchased the final vault bundle for 25,000 gold. Meanwhile, I gave my axe to Clint to upgrade it to gold. With all of this gold going down, I spent the rest of the day farming it and killing dust sprites. You see, amongst the various things I want to unlock, one of them was the Burglar's Ring, a reward you get for completing the monster slaying goal for killing 500 dust sprites. It just makes it so monsters drop more loot. It's not even remotely close to being required in this game. I just like having it because collecting a lot of items makes me feel good, okay? It's convenient to have, especially since you naturally kill a lot of monsters in this game. So I like getting it early while I'm casually farming for resources. Might as well, realistically. I used the crystallarium I received for completing the bundle to put a diamond in it. Despite what you may think, I'm not actually doing this for the sake of profit. A lot of the villagers actually like diamonds as a gift, like Willie, Jody, Gus, and Marnie, and for me it's just one of the easier gifts to hand out. The bus was fixed overnight and I reached level 9 mining. Day 51 is where I put my money to good use. I bought the desert and god damn it, I was gonna use it. First things first, I introduced myself to Sandy, a new villager who lives in the Calico Desert. She runs the Oasis shop here and is friends with Emily. In fact, she even mentions that Emily wrote to her about me. She sells some pretty useful items here, most notably the starfruit seeds which grow during summer. They're one of the most valuable crops you can grow, but it's a little bit too late for me right now to get them. Anyway, add her to the list of villagers I need to build friendship with. With that out of the way, I made it straight for the Skull Cavern. The weird skull-shaped key you get at the bottom of the mines gives access to this area. It's like the mines, but completely randomized, so you never know what you're gonna get. But what I'm after is Iridium, the highest tier ore you can get in the game. Use it to upgrade all of your tools, make Iridium sprinklers, and a few more endgame items, which we're not gonna worry about just yet. So, the reason I keep saying that buying the desert was probably my second biggest mistake these 100 days is because nothing in the Skull Cavern is required to complete the community center. My thought process was the money that I had dumped into the vault I could recoup by doing Skull Cavern runs and selling the Iridium that I collect because I don't actually need copious amounts of it like I do copper, iron, or gold. What I had failed to consider, which became vastly apparent this run, was that to get Iridium, you have to get pretty far down the floors before they start appearing. The deeper, the better, which is why Skull Cavern runs are usually reserved for good luck days so you can find ladders fast, and you come prepared, ideally with bombs and food because there's a lot of enemies that do big damage. And I am not currently in a position to build or buy bombs, nor do I have food. I don't know how people have an infinite source of coal. I'm farming dust sprites day in and day out just for the Burglar's Ring, and I can't smelt 5 bars. So I'm forced to manually mine, which is not great. I got a dinosaur egg, which was cool, but I walked away with only 3 Iridium. Things were not looking great for the Skull Cavern plan that I had envisioned, and I really could have used the money to upgrade some buildings. Overnight, I saw a mysterious man I've yet to meet drop mystery boxes. These are kinda like the geodes in the fact that they can be broken open over at Clint's, but contain a variety of random items. On the 24th of summer, I got a letter from one Mr. Key. That was the guy I saw flying the plane. No need to hold that mystery. He challenged me to reach floor 25 of the Skull Caverns and offered me money to do it. Little does he know that I reached floor 27 yesterday, so challenge complete. I gave Willie a diamond for his birthday, picked up my golden axe, and commissioned another silo. I took my first steps into aesthetically enhancing my farm by placing some wood paths around. I'm not great at design, so we'll see how this goes. The morning of day 53, Mr. Key had honored his deal and paid me 10,000 gold. I don't remember this being a thing, but it was a welcome surprise. Only 32,500 gold in debt now. I got a new recipe from Willie, and George was asking for a hot pepper to rub on his knee. Finally, got the melons needed for the quality crops bundle. Now, all I need was to plant some corn. Since we were rounding down towards the end of summer, I hopped on over to Pierre's and hovered over the fruit tree saplings and contemplated on what I should do. Should I buy them now or wait till I get a greenhouse and plant them then? Quite frankly, a pivotal decision was made this day, as I chose to purchase both the apple and pomegranate saplings. The brain was braining, some overwhelming force spoke to me that day. But it's the end of summer and it takes 28 days to fully mature, so am I even gonna get fruit from these trees or am I too late? I don't know, but it really stressed me out. I thought maybe I could save my ignorance by using tree fertilizer on it, but it doesn't work on fruit trees. Isn't that great? So I just placed them down and prayed to Yoba. Day 54 was the final blueberry harvest of the season. I didn't want to spend any of my funds because I wanted them for as many fall crops as I could get. My ancient seed had also finally came in, so that's a +1 in the bag. The traveling cart did not have much to offer, but I did pick up a rare seed so I could grow a sweet gem berry during the fall. It takes the entire season to grow, and it's how you get a star drop, so I will definitely want to do this. Since it was a good luck day, I chose to spend it in the Skull Caverns. It went better than last time. I got to floor 39 before dying to a serpent. I lost all of my stone, copper, and omni geodes, but that's fine. I did walk away with 10 iridium this time. The second to last day of summer was all about the chores. My summer forageables had grown in, so I turned them into tea saplings to ship off. My passive wheat field was done, didn't even need the fall rain. Put more tappers on my trees, broke up some mystery boxes at Clint's but got nothing, donated items to the museum, stopped by Robbins to purchase some flooring so I could decorate. I'm a big fan of the wooden look, so I got to placing down some more paths. I don't exactly have a set idea on how I want my farm to look, I never do, so things are a bit patchy, just in case I want them to change. Placed a bunch of stone flooring next to my house because I wanted a workshop area. Overnight, I did get my first profession to level 10. It was farming. No shocker there. And you know I had to go with the artisan perk, which makes artisan goods worth 40% more. As soon as we get kegs, we are gonna be making some moolah. Actually, scratch that, apparently we already have. I woke up on the final day of the season to the Homesteader achievement, which is to earn 250,000 gold. Tea saplings are still pretty good. The final day meant even more chores and preparation for the next season. Got a bee house so I could get some honey, caught a sturgeon because I hadn't replaced the one that I used for the luau, still no red cabbage. For the most part, it was a nothing day, but of course, I had to end things at the dance of the moonlight jellies. According to the wizard, these fish have a potent magical aura, and they pass through Pelican Town on their journey south for the winter. So the villagers all come by the beach on this day to watch them, as I did. Day 57 marked the beginning of fall, meaning there was a lot of work that needed to get done. I used my few pieces of iridium to craft 2 sprinklers. I made sure to buy all of the fall crops from Pierre along with a whole heap of cranberries. I would have gone with pumpkins, but my keg operation is non-existent. So for now, we're just gonna plant cranberries all up in the main field and set up everything below my oak trees. I placed down a whole lot of quality sprinklers. Ignore the grid, the UI info mod is supposed to show the range of the sprinklers, and I guess it technically is. It's just, for some reason, a little off kilter. It took me all day to get the ground tilled and planted with all the seeds, but I got there in the end. The subsequent morning, Emily greeted me at my front door and told me about the sewing machine she has at her house. I can use it to tailor all sorts of clothing, so if I ever want to customize my character more, I may pay her a visit. But probably not. I decided against donating the dinosaur egg I got from the Skull Cavern a while back and instead put it in my incubator inside of my coop. In the middle of town, I ran into Mayor Lewis and Robin putting up the special orders board. Since I've moved in, the local economy has really picked up, so more of the townsfolk are beginning to seek a way to source local ingredients for their own businesses and projects. Basically, these are like the quests outside of Pierre's, but on a much larger scale. They're more difficult to do and as such take a longer time. You can only accept one a week, but if you complete it, you'll be rewarded with a crafting recipe. So if I want to achieve perfection, I'm gonna have to do most of these. But before I did, I made sure to give Penny an emerald for her birthday and activated her first heart event. George is having some trouble getting a letter out of his mailbox, and Penny moves him out of the way and helps him herself. George is upset as he doesn't like being seen as helpless, and that's when I come along and weigh in my thoughts. I chose to side with Penny and say that she did a kind thing there. I can't romance George, so I'll earn as much favor as I can with Penny instead. Back to the special orders board, I accepted the prismatic jelly quest from Rasmodius. There's a rare slime in the mines that he wants me to find and slay. For my strategy, I decided to reset level 5 of the mines. Sometimes that slime can be a real bitch to find, but what felt like miraculously, I found it in just under 4 in-game hours. There you go, Mr. Wizard. I'm sure that's how he would prefer to be referred to. The next morning, I was rewarded with the Monster Musk recipe. That'll come in handy if ever I want to farm more monsters, which, I mean, to complete the monster slaying list, I will need to do it. Marnie asked for some amaranth, and I realized that I didn't plant my sweet gemberry. It takes all of fall to grow, so that's not great. Fortunately, I had some speed grow on me, so everything was alright. The rest of the day was spent putting my newly acquired Monster Musk to good use by farming dust sprites in the mines. Day 60, my duck finally gave me a feather, so I stopped by the community center to donate a few things that I'd been holding on to. The wood skip, some wine for the enchanter's bundle, the duck feather, completed the fall foraging bundle, and some jelly, honey, and cloth for the artisan bundle. I also saw that I got a ticket for completing the special order, so I used it to get a peach sapling. Right now, I'm only worried about my apple and pomegranate trees because I'm going to need them this season. I stopped by Robin's to buy a workbench because I was tired of sorting through my chests to find items, and while I was there, commissioned a fish pond. For those of you who don't know, a workbench allows you to access the chests in the adjacent 8 tiles surrounding it. So it just makes crafting things easy as it pulls from everything. I nudged some of my chests over to my new station and stopped by the Adventurers Guild to see my monster slaying progress. I was at 290 of 500 dust sprites slain, which wasn't too bad. I caught a salmon and tiger trout in the town river, planted my peach sapling, made a fall chest before the night ended, and caught an albacore and midnight carp, reaching level 9 fishing. The 5th day of fall was another traveling cart day. They, unsurprisingly, did not have the red cabbage seed I'm beginning to feel very desperate for. But they did have a lobster. It's Elliot's birthday today, and he just so happens to love lobsters, so I patiently waited outside of his cottage to give him one. Outside of Pierre's, I saw that Pam was asking for a gold bar, so I did that as well. And while I was fulfilling requests, I brought George the hot pepper he wanted for his knee, and finally took the bus to the desert to catch the scorpion carp and sandfish. Day 62 started off like all of the rest, doing a bunch of basic chores around the farm. I was able to put my sturgeon into the fish pond now that it was finished so I could begin collecting its roe, but because it was a good luck day, I decided to spend it in the Skull Cavern. It was my most successful run so far. I was able to make it all the way to floor 100 with just a gold pickaxe. The loot wasn't that much, but I did walk away with 91 iridium ore and 2 bars. Before I left, I made sure to trade some of my Omni Geodes for some warp totems because waiting for Pam is not great. Overnight, I reached level 10 mining and chose to go with the blacksmith profession, which makes metal bars worth 50% more. Coal is incredibly valuable, but again, I thought the iridium I was collecting was going to reimburse the cost of unlocking the desert. That plan had not gone away, I mind you. Sunday, the traveling cart was back with a whole lot of nothing. It was a big chore day. I moved my furnaces from the mines to my farm, handed out some gifts, spent most of my money on salad at Gus's. I don't have a steady food supply, especially when I do Skull Cavern runs, so I needed something reliable to snack on. Wound up completing the specialty and river fish bundles. Now all that remains is the walleye, but I need to wait for a rainy day to catch that. I also chose to take one of my dishes of the sea and use it to catch the angler, the legendary fish of fall. Thank God I didn't spend multiple days on this one. On day 64, Raven's brother was back at it again, eating my crops. Fortunately, it wasn't my sweet gemberry, so it's fine. It's blackberry season, so Linus asked me to find his basket, which he lost. But more importantly than that, my cranberries had come in. I wanted to buy a milk pail from Marnie since I've yet to milk my animals once, but somehow I was so focused on entering her ranch that I didn't see her clearly leaving. So instead I went to Pierre's to sell all of my cranberries and buy just enough to leave me with enough funds to upgrade my pickaxe to iridium. I decided to spend the rest of my time in the mines slaying monsters. I couldn't mine any ore, which was unfortunate, but I did wind up getting a prismatic shard from a dust sprite. I did not know this was even possible. So, needless to say, I was pretty happy. Day 65 was yet another trip to Marnie's, where she would not be tending the counter yet again. But, on my way, I saw Mayor Lewis was also paying a visit, so I stalked him and saw him prancing around Marnie's room as if he knew the place well. Oh, and would you look at that? His purple underwear he asked me to find is also lying there on her bedroom floor. But yeah, I'm sure it's the kids being inside bringing Pelican Town down. I see what you're up to, old man. I made sure to bring my prismatic shard to the desert and trade it in for the galaxy sword. Getting a good weapon right now is much more important to me than completing the museum. I've been struggling with just how slow the obsidian edge is, and I needed to get rid of it. I did dig up a few artifacts while I was there though and donated them instead. On the way back, I saw that the special orders board was refreshed and decided to accept Gunther's Fragments of the Past, which tasks me with collecting 100 pieces of bone. I'll get around to that. Maybe. The 10th, Marnie was finally doing her job. I swear she works like one day of the week. So I was finally able to get a milk pail and milk my animals. My sturgeon wanted a diamond, which I obliged, and since it was raining, I was finally able to get the walleye, the last fish I needed for the community center. And since I was fishing, I thought may as well catch the lava eel. The 11th was Jody's birthday, so I made sure to give her what every single mom needs. A diamond. That's more valuable than Vincent right there. Ungrateful, as always, I see. I finally picked up my iridium axe from Clint's and decided to upgrade my hoe to copper. I figured I should probably try and complete Gunther's special order. I needed to put my new sword to the test anyway. So I threw on some monster musk and hit floor 70 of the mines to get some bones. But I gave up halfway through and went back to farming dust sprites. Listen, if I have the burglar's ring, then I'll be able to get more bones per capita of skeletons I kill. I'm quite frankly investing in my future here. The morning of day 68, Jody sent me her first place fried calamari recipe. Would you believe me if I told you the traveling cart was selling me nothing? 'Cause it did. It sold me nothing. While chopping down a tree, I did get the Wood's Secret Book Power, which gives felled trees a 5% chance of yielding double the wood. 1 in 20 trees. That's like, not great, I'ma be real with you. Do you know how much wood you need in this game? It could be a 100% chance to double the wood, and I still would never have enough. Today, I also finally invested in a stable and chose to get myself a horse. I'm tired of walking around everywhere slowly, so this will be a nice speed boost to get around. I usually connect it to my house, but I currently have chests there, so I don't know where I want to put it. I'll just squeeze it in right there. Listen. It's totally not cluttered, okay? Shut up. It's exactly how I want things to be organized. Everything is precisely laid out. Look, I just don't know where I want things to be. Everything's kind of just getting centralized into this one location. I'll organize it later, okay? I don't think I knew what to do this day, so I went and dicked around in the skull caverns and, as you would expect, got nothing. Day 69. Was yet another cranberry harvest. I gave Abigail an amethyst for her birthday, picked up my copper hoe from Clint's, and saw I only had 30% of Gunther's bone request done. So I did what any sane man would. Went to the mine, threw on some monster musk, and farmed dust sprites. I had a reason though. I was actually very close. So close in fact, that I completed the monster slaying goal and as a bonus got Dwarf Scroll 3. Now I'm only missing Dwarf Scroll 4, then I can talk to the dwarf. I promptly accepted my burglar's ring and not 2 hours later got another prismatic shard drop. You're gonna tell me that this is not because of the burglar's ring? I beg to differ. I got to work slaying skeletons. I killed so many, I completed its monster slayer goal and collected enough bones to give to Gunther. I'm telling ya, the burglar's ring is kinda nice. I had a little bit of extra time, so decided to try and get Dwarf Scroll 4 by digging up some spots on floor 95. I did not get it, but I can't exactly complain with the day. The 14th meant that we were officially halfway through fall. I didn't know what to name my horse, so I just called him Steed. The traveling cart was channeling its inner Vincent and was full of disappointment again, and I realized if I wanted to complete the community center, I would need more than just the red cabbage. I still needed a pig to produce a truffle and a rabbit's foot, which I had not taken into consideration, so I had to start getting my priorities straight. We are halfway through fall. It was important that I prioritized the barn because pigs cannot produce truffles in the winter. So if I wanted one, I needed it now. Like, right now. I need to upgrade the barn, which takes 2 days. I need to purchase a pig and hope Marnie doesn't take the day off. And a pig takes 10 days to fully mature before it can produce a truffle. A rabbit can still produce a foot in the winter, so I'm not messing up all of my progress should things go wrong. I chose to de-stress by playing some video games with Abigail. She's a big gamer, and so for her 2-hard event, I played some Journey of the Prairie King with her and helped her complete a difficult level. Yes, Abigail, I do know my way around a joystick. Every man does. Anyway, say hi to your mom for me. Back to being stressed out, I woke up on day 14 and it was halfway through fall. Yes, I reset the day because I forgot to turn in the bones to Gunther and it was the final day to do so. Don't worry, I redid everything I did before. I even gave my horse a pirate hat this time I got from the mines. Raven was already bestowed a straw hat, so why not keep expanding my pirate crew? I should have named my horse Mary. After repeating everything I did, I dug around the mines again for a long time, but still didn't get the dwarf scroll. The following morning, Jody stopped by my place to invite me to dinner, but asked that I bring a largemouth bass with me if I do come. Oh, well, how kind of you to invite me and force me to do the heavy lifting. What a generous offer. Might be a while, Jody. On the upside, my pumpkins were grown, meaning it was time for another trip to the community center for some donations I've been hoarding. Firstly, I used the corn to complete the quality crops bundle and gave both types of cheese to finish the artisan bundle. Both milks finished the animal bundle and the fall crops were completed, thus finishing everything I needed to unlock the greenhouse. The walleye marked the end of the fish tank as well. Now, all that's left is the bulletin board and the pantry. I couldn't forget Sandy's birthday, so I made sure to take a trip down to the desert and give her a sweet pea. I wanted to restock on pumpkins before the day ended, but Pierre's was closed. He was not closed, he was just standing right there. Like a dick. I did make sure to farm up on the wood that I had been growing so I could make a whole bunch of kegs. I knew just how much money there was to be made with pumpkin juice, so I used all of my resources and got 21 kegs for now, which I made sure to fill up. Later that night, the dinosaur egg I placed in the incubator had hatched, so I named him Dino. I know, I'm getting real creative with these names, but what are they to me but produce to be sold for profit? Overnight, the Junimos fixed my greenhouse and evicted a raccoon that had taken up residency. I'm sure I'll never see him again. What makes the greenhouse so good is that seasons do not affect it, so any crop can be grown within without fear of it dying. So this will be useful. The 16th was the day of the Stardew Valley Fair. There wasn't much to do around my farm other than the basic chores, but I knew I needed to impress for the Grange display. I knew that points were awarded for variety and quality, so I grabbed a few things that I thought were good. One of which was an iridium bar, but my ADHD ass picked up the copper bars from the furnace that I was smelting, and then auto-sorted everything into my chest, which immediately put my iridium back in. So, I went to the festival not exactly with the items that I would have preferred. There was an oak resin on my way, so I picked that up, thank God. And when I was there, I chose to go with these items. It was not the display I had intended, and honestly, I didn't think it was that good, which was a surprise to me when I won first place with a rating of 94. Like, wild, if you ask me. But I got 1,000 star tokens, so that's cool. The Stardew Valley Fair offers more than just reputation, however, as there are a few rewards exclusive to this event. The most important is one of the 7 star drops. One of the 8 rare crows is also here, so I want to make sure to pick them both up. There is a fishing and slingshot minigame available which you can do to earn points. I don't have footage of me playing these minigames because I took my tokens straight to the roulette wheel. I put 700 on green, and won. I put a second 700 on green and won again, and then I put 1,000 on green and won the third time. Just like that, 3 for 3, I had 3,400 points. I bought myself the star drop and rare crow, but before I left I thought, the prize ticket is a new addition. It's only 1,000 and I have 600, so why not? So I went all in on green, and it's just that easy. Got myself the prize ticket and made out like a bandit. Day 73 was back to business. I made more iridium sprinklers and got to work tilling all the soil in my greenhouse. Galloped down to Marnie's and picked myself up a pig that was named Shucko, but I renamed to Sucko because the stress I'm going through actually sucks. I got to work turning my ancient fruit into seeds, which one of them got turned into mixed seeds. Are you fucking kidding me? Planted those. Willie taught me how to pan for items up by the mountain. Not exactly the most useful skill, but it will come in handy if we make it to Ginger Island. Collected wood, made more tappers. I wanted to put one on this weird tree that came in during the green rain and grew. I don't know if it'll give me sap, so I'll just wait for now. Day 74 was potentially another questionable decision on my part. It was another cranberry harvest, and with that comes money. The question was, what was I gonna spend my money on? Well, when greed consumes your essence in this game like it does mine, oh, more money, of course. The deluxe coop can wait. A rabbit drops a foot like a chicken drops an egg, right? Psh, it'll be no problem. I waited outside Marnie's to gift her a birthday present before I headed for the desert. I was looking to get myself some star fruit. It's usually a summer-only crop, but my greenhouse is sitting there empty, and if it's not producing me anything, it's losing me money. But not everything was for star fruit. On Thursdays, Sandy sells deluxe speed grow for an incredibly cheap price. So I split my funds a bit equally between them. I didn't do the math to figure out how much star fruit I needed compared to how much space I had, but the answer turned out to be not enough. For some reason, I was placing a lot of value on this final dwarf scroll I was missing, and yet again dug the night away and turning up nothing. The morning of day 75, Marnie was at my front door telling me she's trying to train her goats. Marnie, please. His name is Lewis. But they won't listen to her unless they have their favorite treats, which are cave carrots. So she asked me that I bring her one. I could have given her one right then and there, but she left. Caroline also asks that I bring her a pumpkin to carve out a jack-o'-lantern for the upcoming Spirits Eve festival. The traveling cart, still no red cabbage seed. By this point, I was in full despair mode. Here I was thinking the red cabbage seed was the one thing I needed to worry about if I wanted to complete the community center year 1. But here I am, 9 days left of fall. No red cabbage seed. My pomegranate and apple trees that I planted at the end of summer still have yet to fully mature, and I'm quite frankly not sure if they will even bear fruit by the end of the season, let alone 3 apples. So I bought another apple sapling to plant in my greenhouse, which will take an extra 28 days to grow if my other one doesn't. I'm not even sure if my pig is even going to mature and produce a truffle by the time the season ends, which a rabbit will only drop feet once you've raised its friendship level, so that's gonna take a lot of time. It was more than a one problem type of situation I was dealing with. So I chose to despair away in the Skull Caverns. In a cruel twist of irony, I did get the final dwarf scroll I was missing and have been wasting days trying to farm. I was stressed out, so I stopped playing Stardew Valley for the day and came back tomorrow. Day 76 was a different day. It would turn out to be a perfect day. One that could not have gone any better. It started off with Evelyn on my front porch who gave me a garden pot. That contributed nothing to my perfect day. It was just something that happened that I needed to note. My pumpkin juice was ready, which meant massive profits at Pierre's. I sold 24,000 golds worth, which in conjunction with previous earnings puts me up to 30k. I went to Robin's and bought just enough wood to upgrade to the deluxe coupe that I needed. I then made my way to the Skull Caverns. I'll be honest, I don't remember why I went to the Skull Caverns this day. I must have gone for a specific reason because it was a bad luck day. And you don't just do a Skull Caverns run on a bad luck day. So there must have been a method to my madness. I can't rule out that I might have been there for no reason at all. But if I know me, which I like to think that I do, I must have thought that a bad luck day equaled more monsters. So I must have been there to kill serpents. You see, serpents have a very small chance of dropping a multitude of different items, two of which are a rabbit's foot and a red cabbage seed. Both I am desperate for, and both of which are completely out of my control right now. My coupe's currently getting upgraded, and I'm at the mercy of the traveling cart when it comes to the other. So I descended the Skull Caverns, and on floor 48, I was swarmed with an infestation of serpents. And the very last one dropped red cabbage seeds.
Just when I think you couldn't possibly be any dumber, you go and do something like this and totally redeem yourself.
I rushed straight back to my farm and planted that shit with some speed grow. We were officially back in the game. I have spent most of fall in utter despair. So on day 77, I woke up with a pep in my step and a wind in my sails. The tides were turning and ain't nothing was gonna stop me. I checked the traveling cart even though I didn't need to. It would be nice if you sold a rabbit's foot, however. Linus had a special order to clean up the trash in the community with 1 day remaining. But first, I ventured off on a little side quest. One of the items that still remains is the Nautilus shell. It's a piece of beach forageable that only appears during winter. It's a little bit more rare than the other winter forageables, so again, I wanted to get it sooner rather than later. I wouldn't want to do anything at the last moment, now would I? But there is a way to get a Nautilus shell early. When you've improved your friendship enough with the villagers, a lot of them will sometimes send you things. They're all character-specific items, but Demetrius has a chance of sending you a Nautilus shell. I'm already pretty good friends with him, but I'm gonna start giving him more gifts until he hopefully sends me the items in the mail. But anyway, since it was the final day to complete Linus's community cleanup request, I spent all day on floor 100 fishing up garbage until I was able to complete it. A late night batch of pumpkin juice finished up and Robin was done renovating my deluxe coupe, so I had the funds to buy a rabbit. The following morning, Linus sent me the recipe for fiber seeds, which, I actually really could use. I wasted them all making tea saplings. I stopped by Marnie's, but she wasn't working the counter. She was over at Pierre's staring at a shelf. Ugh. I accepted Emily's rock rejuvenation order, which asks for a ruby, emerald, topaz, jade, and amethyst, and being the hoarder that I am, this was no problem. When I entered her house, I accidentally walked into her dreamscape. Whoops, wrong door. I really don't seem to have understood it, but Emily, on the other hand, believes that there's something special about me and our destinies will intersect. Well, she's right, because I'm here to give her some rocks. She apparently was even more right because we also got her 4-heart event right after as well. Some parrots were flying overhead, but one of them crashes right into her window. She relates to the bird, saying how they are both different from the others and chooses to take it in and nurse it back to health. Aww. I don't know if that bird's gonna see the light of day. I was hoping by now that Marnie would have returned to her job, but she was just standing there in her kitchen. Excuse me, you have a customer. So I grabbed Mayor Lewis's shorts to blackmail him with later and just waited there for the rest of the day. I was hoping that I could still wind up accessing her store as she walked by like you can do with Robin, but come on. Ugh, it didn't work. Before the night was up, I gave my sturgeon some maple syrup, and my goat somehow had a new baby which got named Gree. The next morning, as I waited for Marnie's to open, I got a sewing machine from Emily, harvested my crops, did the basic chores around my farm, but as soon as 9 o'clock hit, I was in there to purchase a rabbit, which I named Lucky. I was gonna need it. But since it was a great luck day, I chose to spend it in the Skull Cavern. The haul was alright, nothing too impressive. On day 80, my sweet gemberry had finally come in, so that'll be great to get out of the way. I was out of pumpkins to make my pumpkin juice, and my dumbass decided to put cranberries in to replace them, not knowing that it takes a whole 7 ass days for cranberry juice to finish. It was George's birthday, so I dropped him off a leek. I redeemed another prize ticket and got 3 mystery boxes, which were not great. But while I was there, I spotted new little destroyable objects off to the right which weren't there before, and found a golden trash can with the Alleyway Buffet book, which gives a greater chance to find items in the trash. This would have been useful in spring. I'm not really searching for anything in the trash, but hey, I gotta get all the powers, don't I? I was then off to the secret woods to donate my sweet gemberry to Master Cannoli in exchange for my 3rd star drop. The taste reminded me of MILFs. Oh my god. I saw Linus taking a bath up in the mountain lake, and I wanted to either upgrade my house or buy a shed from Robin, but I lacked the funds and resources. I do need my house upgraded to unlock the kitchen because there are 2 recipes needed for the community center. But unfortunately, every shop was closing for the day, so I couldn't sell anything and had to just wait till tomorrow. So I gave Lewis's shorts back to him and got a few more prizes from the machine. The 25th of fall, hope continued to grow. My fruit trees were fully mature and producing fruit. If I get an apple a day, I'll get all the fruit I need for the bundles. Everything looked like it was coming down to the rabbit's foot and truffle. I already got a rabbit in the coop and my pig is growing up, but I have to build up its friendship and who knows how long it's going to take for it to drop one after that. So I was back in the Skull Caverns. This time I brought some monster musk with me to increase monsters spawn, and believe me, it definitely did. But there was no such luck to be found from the serpents. All of these gems and riches, and none of it is of value to me. The 26th, I made sure to get my ancient fruit, pick up my pumpkin juice from the kegs. The tapper I had placed on the weird tree gave me a fiddlehead fern. Not exactly what I was expecting, and quite frankly, I do not need this in my life. I made sure to pick up my daily apple and went down to the traveling cart, hopefully to get a rabbit's foot, but no cigar. So I went back to Marnie's and figured, why did I only get 1 rabbit? I should have bought a whole plethora. So I bought a second one and named him Unlucky, just in case I couldn't get a rabbit's foot by the end of these 100 days. I returned to Robin's this time with the funds to upgrade my house, so I will soon have a kitchen. Got a few recipes in the mail and chose to hit up the Skull Cavern yet again. Even less luck this time. But our stock of iridium is getting higher. By day 83, I needed a new strategy for the Skull Cavern. I was going all in to get a rabbit's foot from every possible method at this point. Bringing Monster Musk in there was actually a good idea, but I realized mining actually takes a long time. Trying to find the ladder to get to the next floor was a complete waste of time, because I didn't actually care about the valuables that could be gained from the cavern. All I wanted were serpents, so I decided to use my knowledge of the game to my advantage. You see, for those of you who don't know, the Skull Cavern is completely randomized. Every single time you enter, it's a different layout, meaning I didn't actually have to go down any floors to find serpents. I could just keep resetting the first floor. So I used some Monster Musk and got to work. This was so much better, and it was working like a dream. I was in and out, no mining, scouted my surroundings, and left if I saw nothing. But then it happened. At 4 p.m. Saturday, fall 27th, I got an infested floor. The first one I killed dropped nothing. The second one, a prismatic shard. The third, a bomb. But the fourth, I got the fucking rabbit's foot. Everything else was a bonus. I didn't stick around any longer because, baby, we were cooking with gas. I was back at my farm and I got my final apple. I went to my barn and there was my truffle. I had everything that I needed to not accidentally force me to wait an extra year. My star fruit was done, oak resin was to be collected, but god damn it, I had a festival to get to. Yep, it was the night of Spirits Eve, Pelican Town's Halloween event. Bad luck may have been in the air for others, but not for me. I was so giddy I made sure to chat with everyone around, observed the live skeletons, made my way through the haunted maze, and collected myself a golden pumpkin. The final day of fall, I was locked in. Traveling cart offers me nothing of value anymore, but I checked it anyway. I then took everything I had been collecting to the community center and finished off the enchanters, fodder, construction, I could have gotten that one done ages ago, but I kept forgetting to bring hardwood, and dye bundle all done. All I have left is to make a maki roll and fried egg for the chef's bundle after I get my kitchen, which will be ready tomorrow, collect the 2 remaining winter forageables, which should be pretty easy, and get a nautilus shell for the research bundle. And just like that, fall came to an end. Winter was officially upon us. Nothing could have been more stressful than what I just went through last season, so it was calming knowing that there would be nothing to do in winter. I woke up in my new renovated house and checked what I needed to make the fried egg and maki roll. I just need to stop by Pierre's to get some rice. Winter is a season all about the prep. There's not much you can do. There's no crops you can buy. There are, of course, the winter forageable seeds and the newly introduced powder melon, but realistically, you're not selling either one of those for massive profit. So for me, it's all about reorganizing the farm, getting things where I want them to be, a little bit of aesthetic changes. When I was ready to head to Pierre's, I saw a mysterious creature scurry away, so I tracked it down and followed its footprints all the way to this bush where he gave me a magnifying glass. Now I'll be able to find secret notes. I made sure to get some rice from Pierre's, but noticed that Gus was rocking a different sweater. Yeah, part of the 1.6 update is now everyone has winter clothes. It's a nice aesthetic change to the whole year, making things feel more festive and the town more lived in. I saw Emily put the gems I gave her to good use when I went around handing out gifts. I wanted to see everyone's new outfit, so this was a good 2 birds with 1 stone mission. I decided that I actually wanted to move the coop away from where it is by default. It fits perfectly right there, but I kinda wanted to use the space for something different. There is more farmland there for potential crops, but I'm actually going to redesign it to be my new workspace. The area next to my house is a little too cluttered and ugly. Day 2 of winter, Willie wanted me to catch a squid as a challenge. I'm pretty busy here, Willie. Surely there's another villager here living an unfulfilled life that you could issue a random challenge to. I saw some worms on my farm and remembered that I still needed to get the winter forageables. So I strolled down to the beach to get a nautilus shell and... it's fine, I'm sure one will spawn here soon. I did get an artifact though and dropped by the museum to donate some stuff and got the treasure trove achievement. I ran around Pelican Town searching for a snow yam and a crocus, but only found the latter. Hopefully tomorrow will be more eventful. The rest of the day was spent organizing my new workstation. I moved the dehydrator out of the mushroom cave because by this point I learned you could put fruit in there, and I had a lot of cranberries. On day 87, Demetrius finally sent me an item. Fuck. It was not the nautilus shell I was looking for. It's quite unfortunate, but considering the amount of despair I was previously going through with the red cabbage seed, the rabbit's foot, the apples, the truffles, this was but a mere inconvenience. I gave Linus a birthday yam and chose to move my barn and coop next to each other. I like giving them access to a water source. No nautilus shell on the beach. That's fine. And don't ask me what the hell I was thinking. I was so on autopilot mode, I gave my hoe to Clint's for an upgrade. I recognized this mistake so fast. I saw 3 dig spots at the bus stop and thought, how am I supposed to get a snow yam now? I was not gonna wait 2 days to get my hoe for a stupid mistake, so I reset the day. But when I woke up to redo everything, Demetrius sent me an amethyst. That's different. So, if he's gonna send me something different every time, we're already here and oh, would you look at that? A nautilus shell. Who knows how much time that saved me? Me accidentally upgrading my hoe may have saved me days. And yep, with the hoe, I got a snow yam, and just like that, I had everything I needed to complete the community center. The Junimos thanked me for all of my hard work and said their goodbyes. It was a real Christmas miracle. Actually, it was more like a Friday the 13th miracle, but You know, they get more associated with murder. The rest of my day was more or less the same. I had a bunch of Omni Geodes that I never did anything with, so I cracked open a ton of those and donated a bunch to the museum. Planted winter seeds, replaced the starfruit in my greenhouse, and caught Shane having a midnight beer down by the lake. You having a cold one in the middle of winter, huh? Well, I guess sometimes you gotta try and feel something inside. What is the numbness of frostbite when you've already been numb on the inside for years? Well, after quite an ominously depressing conversation, I handed out gifts. Overnight, the quarry was unlocked. Day 88 marked the celebration of the community center. I quite frankly am astonished that I was able to complete it. Wasn't even close. Wasn't worried for a single second. It all went according to plan. I'm actually quite happy that I got it completed during winter because I get to see everyone in their new outfits. I was hoping Morris would come by in a winter outfit as well, but he was still just dressed in his suit. Pierre settled things by blasting him off into space with a big old punch, and Joja Mart was never heard from again in Pelican Town. Great, now Pierre has a monopoly. I got a lot of friendship with some of the villagers, I think. I guess some are ungrateful and just didn't care about the community center. I mean, Sam is now out of a job. Sorry, dude. Anyway, when I returned back to my farm, Gus was there and he gave me a mini jukebox. I went back to Clint's to break open some more stuff because now I wanted to unlock the sewer, and to do so, you need to donate 60 items to the museum. I just haven't really been too focused on this aspect. I didn't think I was gonna do it, so I'm going to now. I did save some Omni Geodes though to trade in for artifact troves in the desert. The quarry was cleared out safely, and it was time to invest in the big chest. Yeah, one of the best additions to the update. You can increase your chest size. Oh my god, it feels so nice. I ended things with putting a fence around my animal area. As you would expect after completing the community center, I woke up with tons of recipes in the mail. But the most important piece of mail I got was Willie telling me he opened the back room of his shop. It was a little too early to go down there just yet, so while I waited, I spiced up my farm area. It's not too much space, but I'm kinda digging how it looks. At Willie's shop, he showed me his old rundown ship he's got in the back. It was his father's boat, but she's gone on hard times now, and so asks that I bring him the materials to fix her up. If I do, he can take me to a new island. Oh, and would you look at that? I just so happen to have the batteries, hardwood, and iridium to fix her. So I will see you tomorrow. I thought I'd end the night by catching the legendary glacier fish, but it turns out I saw some midnight sexcapades going down with Lewis and Marnie as well. They're talking about how they gotta keep what's going down between them a secret. Lewis could lose his position of authority if it gets out. What a romantic. Their plan is not going well. It's one of the worst kept secrets in Pelican Town, made even worse because I overheard everything. I tell him that I plan to keep it a secret, but that's a lie, only to gain friendship XP. I would absolutely tell everyone if I could. Speaking of a budding romance blossoming, Gus and Pam. There is no romance between them, but there is between Gus and his wallet and Pam and her liver. The saloon isn't doing too well financially, partially because Pam hasn't paid off her tab, which I tell her to do, and she does. There really isn't that much to this scene. I did pay a visit to the dwarf finally. I worked so hard to get the translation scrolls, and yet here I am, barely talking to him. I purchased the Dwarvish Safety Manual for 4,000 gold, which makes bombs deal 25% less damage to you, and bought his Rare Crow. That skill will be useful when I eventually do Skull Cavern runs with bombs. Day 90, I was just excited to go to Ginger Island. Now that the community center was done, it is 100% all about the money now, baby. I encountered a mysterious boy on the island named Leo, who has a close bond with the parrots of this island. Emily may have kidnapped one of his brethren. You may never see him again, Leo. But anyway, he's too shy to talk right now. So I spent the entire day collecting golden walnuts. I know where a lot of them are without looking them up, but I may not need to because the 1.6 update added this Joja bird that I can pay to find them for me for 1.2 million? It's a steep ask right now, but I've barely found any walnuts right now. Maybe when I'm down to the last few, I'll come back and see if the price changes. I opened the farm area first, obviously, where I met another mysterious resident. She tells me her husband was a pirate, but died on this island. She tracked him down and now lives here guarding his remains. But she wants a keepsake to put her mind at peace, so I agree to help her. She gives me a war memento, but there's nothing I can actually do with this until year 2. I know a guy. Trust me. He has a terrible son. So we'll come back to this. It took me 3 hours, but I was eventually able to complete the Simon Says puzzle. I mistakenly purchased the Parrot Express as my second unlock. I thought I was being cheeky and it would give me access to the dig site so I wouldn't have to buy that area. But I was wrong. I did make sure to pick up the lionfish and blue discus while I was here. The following morning, Pierre was at my front door letting me know that he'll have new seeds in stock for next year. Oh, is your business doing well now that I ran the competition out of town and you have a monopoly? And I still have to pay full market price for all of the seeds? Oh, that's great. I'm happy for you. Say hi to Caroline for me. At this point, it's kinda just maintenance around the farm. There's not much to really do other than keep up with what I've been doing. I gave my sturgeon 3 Omni Geodes, purchased a lucky lunch from the traveling cart. You are dead to me. But it was Caroline's birthday, so I hopped over to give her a gift, but she and Abigail were having a fight. Abigail's parents don't quite like how she dresses, and that's causing some friction. Here's a flower. I'm sure that'll mend the rift in this family that is barely being held together. Things are not looking good for the marriage side of these 100 days. Caroline is my highest relationship, but unfortunately, the MILFs just aren't on the table to be romanced, so what even is the point of me choosing a favorite thing? So I chose to spend the rest of the day in the volcano at Ginger Island. I barely managed to get to the top before passing out. I couldn't even use the forge. But on day 92, Gunther was at my front door to reward me with the sewer key. Took me long enough. I unlocked the hatch and was finally able to meet Krobus for the first time. I couldn't stay long because the Festival of Ice began near Marnie's ranch, so I made my way there. Everyone seemed to be having a good time, building snowmans and the like. I went to buy the rare crow, but didn't have the funds. Uh-oh. It's fine. I've seen it in the traveling cart like 1,000 times. I'm sure I'll be able to pick it up again soon. Anyway, I crushed the ice fishing competition, claimed my reward, sold off a ton of starfruit, and went to sleep. Day 93 was finally the day I learned how to change fishing bobbers. Yep, I know, it took you guys much longer. Well, not everyone can have the observational skills that I do. Now that the major task is out of the way with the community center, it's like my peripheral vision has expanded and I can now see things that weren't there before. I'm very easily tunnel visioned in this game. Fittingly, since I've been creating a pirate crew, I went with the ship bobber. All of these funds meant big money moves were being made. I returned to Ginger Island to begin preparing my land for my inevitable starfruit farm. Any crop can grow on this island just like the greenhouse, so it's good to get it up and running as soon as possible. Clearly, ancient fruit is the end goal, but it's gonna take a while before I even get my greenhouse full of them. So for now, I cleared out this land and unlocked the dig site. Day 94 was money spending day. I had 146k and I needed a lot of things. Firstly, I stopped by Krobus to buy a void egg. I need void mayonnaise for a quest, and so I did what any sane man would do. I took that egg and put it in an incubator. I can't wait for the chicken to grow up so it can produce me a void egg. Like, what's wrong with me? Sometimes the lights just aren't on. I bought 2 auto grabbers from Marnie's because I hate maintaining my animals. I finally commissioned a shed so I could put my kegs somewhere, sent my watering can off to get upgraded to copper, and spent some money on starfruit. I really want to buy speed grow as well, so I'ma come back here. I figured I may as well complete a lot of requests people had of me. I gave Demetrius a melon, gifted Emily an amethyst on behalf of Clint, who's got a little bit of a crush on her. I gave Marnie a cave carrot that she asked for to train Lewis, but it elicited a negative response, which confused me. Oh, I'm supposed to bring it to her shop. You're right, I guess it is too much to ask carrying a carrot. I gave Linus's berry basket back just in time for blackberry season, and he repaid my kindness by bringing me into his tent and...
I don't want to talk about it.
I'm just kidding. He taught me how to make wild fish bait. I made sure to give Sebastian a birthday gift since he only touches grass at night, and I thought to round out the day by claiming the mutant carp. I contemplated purchasing the star drop from Krobus, and I realistically could've, but I can make so much more money if I invest my current funds into starfruit, so I'll come back. There are 5 days left. I'm kinda just going with the flow at this point. I wasn't shocked that I was able to complete the community center year 1, but I didn't think about what I'd do after I did it. I'm mostly setting things up for a potential 200 days. I sold some starfruit wine at Pierre's and got fruit trees to plant in the greenhouse. Stopped by Robin's but forgot she's currently building my shed. Actually, apparently no she's not. I got Linus's 8 heart event where I can ask him to live on the farm with me. I'm not so sure I want to pick that option. Maybe if you were like a hot mom or something who wore plaid and knew how to build stuff, maybe then I'd invite you on the farm to live with me. Sorry, Linus, I'm just pleased to see you doing well. He gives me a little wink wink nudge nudge, glad you didn't invite me or anything weird like that, saying he's happy living his way of life. Ah, freedom. I give him 2 years. I was back at Sandy's purchasing 180 starfruit and deluxe speed grow. Again, I didn't do the math to figure out how many sprinklers I needed, and it took me all day, but I eventually got them all planted. I got back to town just in time to catch my first squid. I returned home to check on my fish progress and realized I was missing a lot more than I thought. To be fair, a lot of them are crab pots, which I've just not been using out of sheer laziness. But for the most part, a lot of these are specialty fish. So I went down to the pier and caught myself a perch because that was not one of them. The night of day 96, there was a strong windstorm. I wonder what that was. The wizard wanted some void essence for some shadow divination. You know, the huge. But when I went down to go give it to him, I noticed this giant tree I had passed by so many times was now but a stump. I could fix it for 100 hardwood, but I did not have that on me, so I'll fix it later. The traveling cart did actually have something that I needed. It was garlic. I don't have a single piece and I needed to plant some on Ginger Island to appease the frogman, so I can put this in a seed maker. On my way back from the Cindersap Forest, I noticed my shed was done. It still needs to be upgraded again, but for now, I got to work moving some kegs indoors and filling them with starfruit. I bought a whole ton of wood from Robin, which allowed me to create even more kegs, which just immediately refilled my stock outside. So, a lot of wasted energy there, me. But you know what I didn't miss? The Squid Festival. Yes, I may have completely forgotten about the Trout Derby, but the Squid Fest I wouldn't miss for the world. You see this squid counter? That's how you indicate that there's a thing going on in the region you've entered. Take notes, Trout Derby. As the name would suggest, it's all about catching squid. The target is 8 for the maximum reward, which I'll never know what it was because I only caught 5. The rewards weren't great. The only good one was probably the pearl. But you see, the Squid Fest is a 2-day event, and I had a second shot at things. I realized my mistake of not taking advantage of the newly introduced bait maker. You can now use the fish you've caught to turn into bait to in turn catch more of that specific fish. It was probably made solely for these events. So I put 1 squid in and got 6 bait in return, so it's a fair trade if you ask me. I held on to some squid just in case I could walk into the event with them counting, like the tally was cumulative across the days. But first I wanted to go to Ginger Island. There were tons of people already fishing. Squid don't spawn until 6, guys. You're gonna be here for a little while. While I was there, I made sure to free Professor Snail from his captivity. His research of the island has unfortunately gone south after getting stuck, so ask that I do it. Oh great, I'll just do everything. I completed the survey of the flowers and starfish present on the island and did my normal patrol. I walked away with a few gold coconuts which I cracked open and fortunately got a skull from. That's nice and all, but I do need a banana and mango tree, so hopefully I get those soon. I finally collected enough hardwood needed to repair the giant tree stump, and it turns out Robin isn't the only carpenter in town because I renovated the place pretty nice. I walked in on Haley struggling to open a jar, so I helped her out. Guns may not be legal in Pelican Town, but I've got 2 attached to me. We are not close to marrying Haley, but I'll wait. I was a tad late to the Squid Fest, but thanks to my bait, I managed to catch 8 squid just before 2 a.m. and you gotta be shitting me. I took my second place rewards and went about my life. Maybe next year. Day 98, a little raccoon had moved into my tree stump and was actually demanding that I give him things. Bitch, I made that house. If anything, you should be the one giving me items. Listen, I've already evicted one raccoon from my greenhouse before. I'll do it again. Harvey got some coffee for his birthday and it was raining on Ginger Island, meaning I had to find the gem bird and put that jewel on the pedestal. I finally got that void essence over to the wizard and it looked like Abigail was stopping by to pay a visit to her real dad. Yeah, you better believe I subscribe to the theory that Abigail is the wizard's daughter. From Pierre worrying about Abigail looking nothing like him, to Caroline saying that she used to take walks to the wizard's tower, to the wizard believing he has a daughter in town. That shit is straight drama and I am here to be as Snoopy as possible. I gave Willie the squid he challenged me to catch, but also caught the lingcod and stonefish. There's only a handful of fish left to catch at this point. Day 99. I was really close to maxing out the rest of my skills. Foraging was the furthest thing, but ironically, I had actually been hoarding the XP books for it because I thought that these were farming XP. So I actually managed to reach level 10 foraging thanks to them. Something else I wanted to do before these 100 days was up was use the forge. I unlocked that a little bit ago but passed out, so I never got to use it. I didn't know which tool I should go with first. I didn't want it to be the sword because I actually much rather prefer the Galaxy Hammer. I just don't have the funds to buy that yet. So instead, I went with the pan. I was hoping for the enchantment which makes it so that there's a chance to respawn extra panning areas. That would be nice to try and get the lucky ring, but I wound up with archaeologist, which makes it so you have a higher chance of finding artifacts. Not what I wanted, but for what it's worth, I did get the fossilized tail my first go, so you can't argue with results. By the time I got back to the valley, the night market was open. I purchased a painting from painter Lupini only because I knew how rare they are in game. I have no use for them, but knowing they're only available here made me want to buy it. I watched a mermaid show, which quite frankly, I don't know if it was inspiring and beautiful or downright traumatizing. I did get a pearl though. The most important thing during the night market, however, is the deep sea fishing tour due to its exclusive fish. So I made sure to catch myself the midnight squid, blobfish, and spookfish. I was hoping for an octopus because I am missing one, and I did hook one, but it got away and I failed to catch it. I tried so hard. So that's 2 more skills at max rank. I went with botanist for foraging, which makes foraged items always the highest quality, and I'm not really selling my fish for profit anymore, so went with the doubled chance to find treasure. Day 100. We are finally here. What even is there to do? I wanted to set things up for the potential 200 days, so I planted a whole bunch of oak trees and others to tap for later purposes. The oak that I currently have on my farm is nice, but I'm gonna need a lot more. I thought that I'd end things by doing the Dark Talisman quest, so I returned to Krobus, realizing my mistake of incubating the void egg instead of just turning it straight up into mayonnaise, went over to the railroad where the wizard told me about his ex-wife. No, not that one. Apparently he drove her away, which caused her to be filled with so much anger and envy that she turned green and began flying around, cursing everything in her path. You know, I don't know if that's how that works, to be honest. I feel like that doesn't happen. I feel like you may have slipped or something, because I know you're prone to drugging people against their will, so I wouldn't have put it against you to have done that and just been like, crazy ex, am I right? But either way, he locked the entrance to her place to protect everyone. That is, until now. She stole his magic ink and now tasks me to fix his mess. To unseal the passage, I need the Dark Talisman, so I am to first seek out Krobus. He tells me that he used to have one, but dropped it in the nearby tunnel. Long story short, I get the talisman, hit up the night market real quick, try and buy the hot mermaid painting, but don't have enough funds because I wasted it on that ugly one. I break the seal, run into a goblin, give him some void mayo to move out of the way, catch a void salmon while I'm there, and retrieve the ink. I am rewarded with the Book of Summoning. With it, I can craft the obelisks, Junimo huts, and the golden clock. One of the true signs of perfection in this game. And thus, the curtains closed on the 100 days. At the end of these 100 days, I completed the community center, which was my main goal. I got 4 of the 5 skills to level 10, and I probably could have gotten them all if I spent the final day in the Skull Cavern. I only wound up with 3 star drops. I could have gotten at least 4 if I bought the one from Krobus instead of buying Starfruit, but you know, money was to be made. The total earnings were $250,000, so not bad considering how things started. I didn't get married or romance anyone. I was too busy running around, not knowing what to do. The fish section is mostly complete aside from a few crab pots. There's only like 3 or 4 fish I need to get from special areas. I'm missing 12 artifacts and 15 minerals, and I unlocked Ginger Island. Mr. Key's Walnut Room was not unlocked, so I can't see my completion percentage, but all things considered, not too bad. Things probably could have been a lot more impressive if I had actually focused on doing everything within the 100-day time limit. I was kind of just treating this as any other normal playthrough, setting things up for the years to come, just because I wanted to play Stardew Valley for the 1.6 update. I was excited, okay? I just wanted to play a fun game. But for my first challenge thing in a game, I'm pretty happy. Let me know in the comments if you want to see a 200-day series. Maybe I'll actually be able to explore more of the 1.6 editions that I missed without having to worry about the year 1 stress. But anyway, thank you guys for watching. Subscribe if you're interested in more content, and I'll see you in the next video.